Good day to everyone. Hopefully everybody's doing well and you're doing starting to say something about going into fall, but then again, depending on where you live in the world, it's not going into fall, you're going into summer. So wherever I hope you're going into the next season, and you're happy to go into the next season. I'm still a little surprised that it's September, but we'll ignore that detail. Okay, I've got another two for today. These two quotes just seem to go together, and partly because they come from two very, very, very different people. But I was hoping that that would be somewhat impressing of you if you can see the two different people who have somewhat similar comments. They're not similar, but they're connected. So the first one comes from Leonardo DiCaprio, an actor. Most of you probably know who he is. We start off with why worry? If you have one, excuse me. Um, let's start that all over again. Why worry? If you have done the best you can, worrying won't make it any better. If you want to be successful, respect one rule. Never let failures control you. Okay? Now, playing all that, the next one comes from Mark Cuban, businessman on sometimes on Shark Tank, and you can see that. So the two people, even though they've got somewhat similar thoughts, are very different in that respect. The only thing that you control is your effort. That's all, and that's everything. So I guess in a sense what we're talking about here is control and what you can control. Now I'm not talking about control, and I guess maybe on second thought I am talking about control, and when you're trying to control something or someone, because technically you can't. Any of you have ever tried to control a baby or another child or another person and recognize that pretty much unless you've just about hogtied someone or something, it's really difficult to do it unless they want you to do it. Now there are circumstances that they're, psychological circumstances, etc. But you really can't control other people. You might be able to get them to do what you want them to do, but you can't really control them. Then again, can you always get you to do what you really want to do? How many times have you wanted to do something and you ended up doing something else or not doing something just because you couldn't do it? But let's take a look at the idea here of controlling your effort and where you're putting that effort to accomplish things that you want to accomplish. Because a lot of us will worry about things. What if I'm not good enough? What if this doesn't work? What if I didn't study enough? What if I studied too much? Did I spend too much time? Did I study the right things? Did I prepare for the right things? And you start thinking in terms of all sorts of things about whatever it is that you're trying to do without taking a look at what Leonardo said. Have you done the best you can to do it? If you've done the best you can on something, what more can you do? Now you're going to say, well, did I do the best I can? Okay, we can take a look at that, but from the standpoint of given time, given effort, maybe if you had more time, um, if you had the ability to have better tools or some such thing like that. But generally speaking, I think most people do the best they can at a particular moment in time. Now you can look back at time and say, I should have done something better 2 years ago or 6 months or last week or this morning or whatever. But in reality, could you really have done that at that particular moment in time? If it was something you wanted to do, were all the forces around you at that specific moment in time allowing you to do, quote, the best? You probably did the best you could given that particular set of circumstances. So for 3 hours later, 3 years later, 6 to 10 years later, to think in terms of, gee, I should have done better, it's really a waste of time and you can't do anything about it anyway because it's done. What you can do is control the time you've got now and what you're going to do and what you're doing here and as time goes on. You can't really control what's going to happen in the future. You definitely can't control what's going to happen in the past. And I think a lot of people spend a lot of time worrying about what they cannot control. So I'm trying to give a good speech because I'm going to be talking to the boss or some such thing like that. And you go off into all sorts of different things. What can you do now to prepare for that? You can prepare and be as ready as you can be, but there's no way you can control all the circumstances that are going to go on in that particular room when you give your speech. You can't control how other people feel. You can't control how people come into that because it's entirely possible. Let's just say you're giving a presentation to the hierarchy in the company. or your instructor, some such thing like that. You can't control how they feel when they come in to see you. Because to some degree, I think a lot of us think that everybody's looking at you. So if you're going to give that presentation, you're thinking everybody's looking at you. Really, are they? How many times have you gone in to see a presentation, to see a movie, to see a concert, to see anything else, to see somebody else, but your mind's not there? You're thinking about something else. Do you really think that everybody who's watching you is watching you? They may be looking at you, but are they thinking about you? And you can't control that. Now, you can get their attention or not, as the case may be, but you still can't control that because they may be having some other issues that nothing you do is going to be able to change that. For all you know, because you're going to think, well, if I don't do really well, I'm going to lose this job. You don't know whether that person who's watching you might be concerned about somebody who's very sick in the family and not going to be paying attention to you at all. Now, granted, this may or may not be an extreme, but what I'm trying to do is show you that you can't control what other people are thinking when you're doing whatever it is you're doing. You're making your presentation in this case. All you can do is control what you can control. And that's your preparation and what you can bring into that particular activity that you're trying to do. If you need to write a paper, did you do the best you could with it? If you need to write a speech, did you do the best you could with it? Are you doing the best at cleaning house or raising children or whatever? Don't spend a lot of time worrying about it. Just do the best you can. Now, some of you are going to say, and you're going to blow me off, but give some thought to this, because we can't spend a lot of time worrying about things we cannot control. And most of the things you worry about, you can't control. Most of the things I worry about, I can't control. I'm still worrying to some degree about the flooding, and there's nothing I can do about that. But I worry about it. Can I control it? No. Can I do things to help alleviate it? To some degree, yes, but I can't control it. And I think that many of us have that same issue. We can alleviate certain situations, but we can't control them. So just worry about what you can do and do the best you can with that particular issue. As DiCaprio said, just do the best you can and never let your failures control you. Because once you start worrying about that, then you definitely aren't going to get to wherever it is you want to go, because you're going to be thinking of all the negatives. And once you start thinking about the negatives, that's all you're going to be looking at. It's going to be looking at the negatives. As you get up in the morning and say, oh, it's going to be a lousy day, I can guarantee it's going to be a lousy day because you're looking for that lousy day. Does that make sense? So I hope this was helpful. If at least maybe gave some of you some things to think about, to how many times maybe that you thought about something that you really didn't need to worry about. Maybe you could recognize other people, but hopefully at least gave you something to, shall we say, meditate on. I hope you have a good week, and I hope things go well. And I hope this was useful. Let me know. I would appreciate it. And we will just see you around and chat with you later. Bye.